Hello, good evening everybody, welcome back. So today we are going to deal with a new topic that is about metals and non-metals. That is the third chapter in the chemistry science textbook. So first of all we will deal with the properties of the metals, that is the physical properties. So already you have studied the physical properties in the lower classes. So once again we will revisit the properties. So the first property is that metals are generally solids in nature. So they are solids at a room temperature. But one exceptional case is that mercury. So mercury is a liquid metal normally at room temperature. So solids are metals are generally solids at room temperature, but the mercury is the only one liquid metal which is in a liquid metal at room temperature. So solids are generally hard, that is a second property, they are generally hard. But here also some exceptional cases are there. Sodium and potassium are some exceptional cases. We can even cut these metals with a knife. So sometimes whenever for the examination point of view, one mark question. So name a liquid metal. Name a metal which are very soft, name a metal which is very soft, or name the metals which are very soft. So likewise the questions are coming for the essay 1 exam. That time you have to write mercury is one of the liquid metal and sodium and potassium are some of the non-metals which can be cut even with a knife. So general properties, they are solids at room temperature and they are so hard. And the third one is malleable. So you have studied in the lower classes, malleability means, so metals can be beaten into sheets. You have seen the aluminum foils we are getting from the supermarkets. That aluminum foil is one of the metal, that is aluminum metal. It has been beaten into a thin sheets. So likewise the metals can be beaten into thin sheet, and that property is called malleability, and that is why we are saying that metals are generally malleable. Gold is one of the most malleable metal. That is also another one mark question, which is the most malleable metal. And the fourth property is ductile. So ductile means metals can be drawn into wires. So it can be, you have seen in the insulation wires and all. So the inside the plastic coating we can see the thin wires of copper stripes, and that copper metal has been drawn into a thin wires. So that is what it is called a ductile, ductility. That property is called a ductility. Metals can be drawn into wires. That property is called a ductility. And the property of metal, we are saying that metals are ductile. The most ductile metals are gold and silver. So solids are metals are solids at room temperature, and one exceptional case liquid metal is that mercury is a liquid metal, and metals are generally very hard in nature, but sodium and potassium are some exceptional cases, we can cut even with a knife. And the next one is malleable. Malleable means metals can be beaten into sheets, and that property is called malleability. Metals can be beaten into very thin sheets, and one of the most malleable metal is gold. And the next one is ductile. Ductile means metals can be drawn into wires. Gold and silver are the two metals which are the most shows the most maximum ductility. And the fifth one, they are lustrous in nature. Lustrous means, we know whenever we are buying the new copper wires or new iron nails, they are having a very shiny appearance. So that property is called a metallic luster. The newly brought metals are having a very shiny appearance, and that property is called a lustrous property, and generally metals are very lustrous in nature. And the sixth property, they are sonorous. Sonorous means, suppose we are dropping a wooden piece on a tile. So we are not getting any sound, we are just making a sound, it is not a prolonged sound. On the other hand, if we are dropping a metallic piece, metallic rod on the tile, we can hear that jill sound, that particular sound. That the property of the metal to produce that particular sound is called sonority, and that is why we are saying that metals are sonorous in nature. And the last one is, metals are good conductors of electricity. Good conductors, both heat and electricity. So silver is one of the example for both conductors of heat and electricity. So these are the general physical properties of the metals. Metals are solid at room temperature, and one exceptional case is liquid metal, that is mercury. Metals are very hard in nature, and there also one exceptional case, sodium and potassium, that we can even cut with knife. And the third property is metals are generally malleable. Malleable means they can be beaten into sheets. Gold is one of the most malleable metal, and the next one is ductile. Ductility means metals can be drawn into wires. The most ductile metals are gold and silver. The next one is lustrous. Lustrous means the shiny appearance of the metal. The newly brought metals always having a shiny appearance. That property is called a metallic luster. And last session we have already explained about the corrosion. That means when metals are exposed to air, that shiny appearance goes off because the metals are reacting with oxygen. That is another case. And sonorous means metals are producing a particular sound when it is bang or clicking on a hard surface. That peculiar sound producing property, that is called sonorous. And the last one, metals are good conductors of electricity. These are the physical properties of metals. Now we will move to the chemical properties. So first one, when metals are reacting with oxygen, normally we are saying when metals are burned in air. So something is burning in air means it is reacting with the oxygen. So when metals are burned in air, so metals are burning in air means metals reacting with the oxygen present in air. So when they are reacting together or when they are burning in air, we are getting metallic oxide. Metallic oxide. So that is the first chemical property of metal. When metals are burned in air, it is reacting with the oxygen present in the air to form metallic oxide. So we have to show what is the property of the metallic oxide. So for finding out the property of the metallic oxide, for example, sodium when it is burned in air, so this is the balanced equation. 4Na plus O2 gives 2Na2O. So when sodium is burned in oxygen, it is producing sodium oxide. So this sodium oxide we should have to dissolve in water. So this metallic oxide dissolve in water. Some metallic oxide do not dissolve in water, but some metallic oxide dissolves in water, and when it is dissolving in water, we can test this with litmus paper. So in the previous section, when we were discussing about the acids and bases, we have studied the property of acids and base. Acids are the substances which can change red litmus into blue color, and bases are the substances which is changing blue litmus into acids are changing blue litmus into red color and red litmus into blue color. Likewise we have studied. So likewise the sodium oxide. So when sodium and oxygen are reacting together to form sodium oxide, here we are making the solution of sodium oxide. So we have to test this sodium oxide with the help of litmus paper. We have to test with the help of blue litmus paper and as well as a red litmus paper. So we can see that metallic oxides are generally basic in nature. So how we can find out they are basic in nature on behalf of the reaction with a blue litmus paper and a red litmus paper. So normally when we are checking this sodium oxide solution with the blue litmus paper and a red litmus paper, we can see that one of this litmus paper shows reaction with the sodium oxide. So sodium oxides are basic in nature. Bases are the substances which are changing red litmus into blue color. So when we are checking this sodium oxide with blue litmus paper and red litmus paper, this blue litmus paper is changing into red litmus paper is changing into blue color, and blue litmus paper do not show any reaction because blue is changing into red color in the presence of an acidic medium. So thus we can identify, or thus we can prove that the metallic oxides are basic in nature. This is also one of the question normally asking for the exams. So what is the nature of metallic oxide and how can you illustrate? So illustrate with an example. So likewise the questions are coming. So you have to explain with the help of an example. So metals are when burned in oxygen, we are getting corresponding metallic oxide. So you can explain to the question with the help of an example. So sodium, when it is burned in oxygen, we are getting sodium oxide. So after writing this equation, you have to explain. When we are taking the solution of this sodium oxide, we can test the solution with the help of litmus paper. So we can see that it doesn't show any action towards the blue litmus paper, and it is changing red litmus into blue color. As it is changing red litmus into blue color, we can prove that the metallic oxides are basic in nature. This is one of the question normally asking for the exam. So this is the first chemical property of the metal. Metals are when burned in oxygen, we are getting corresponding metallic oxide, and you have to remember metallic oxides are basic in nature. Second property, when metals are reacting with water, we are getting corresponding metallic hydroxide, metal hydroxide. So magnesium plus H2O, we are getting MgOH twice, magnesium hydroxide, and generally hydrogen gas is also forming. So metals when reacting with water, we are getting metal hydroxide. So here one question is asking on behalf of calcium. So when calcium is reacting with water, we are getting calcium hydroxide, and I told you along with this hydrogen gas is also producing. So in this reaction, when calcium and water are reacting together, the hydrogen gas is forming during this reaction. When a metal is reacting with water, there will be the production of hydrogen gas. So during this reaction, the heat produced is very less, and it is not having that much effect to burn the hydrogen gas produced during the chemical reaction. As a result, what happens is that this hydrogen gas will stick on the side of this calcium metal, and as a result calcium metal will float on water. So that is also another question for the examination point of view, why calcium float on water when it reacts with water. So the reaction is calcium when it is reacting with water, we are getting calcium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. You have to write the answer. The heat produced during the reaction of calcium and water is very less, and it is not that much effect to burn the hydrogen gas produced during the chemical reaction, and as a result the hydrogen gas produced will stick on the surface of the calcium, and as a when gases are sticking, the bubbles are forming, it becomes very weightless feeling we are getting, and as a result calcium is floating on water. And this is also one of the important question, 2-mark question generally asking for the SA1 XA1 examinations. So when metals are reacting with water, we are getting metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas, and one of the exceptional case, not the exceptional case, the reaction is same, but the question is coming is why calcium float on water. So you have to write the same way, because when calcium is reacting with water, the heat produced is very less to burn the hydrogen gas produced during the chemical reaction. As a result, hydrogen gas will stick on the surface of the calcium metal, and that is why calcium float on water. This is the second chemical property of metal. First one was when metals are burned in oxygen, we are getting corresponding metallic oxide. Metallic oxides are basic in nature, and the question comes, how can you prove the metallic oxides are basic in nature? You have to test the nature of metallic oxide with the help of litmus paper, and we can see that it is changing the red litmus into blue color, and as a result it is basic in nature. And the next one, metals reacting with water to form metallic hydroxide and hydrogen gas, and here the question asks, I told you, why calcium floats on water. So the third property, when metals are reacting with the dilute acids, metals with acid. We are getting corresponding salt. So according to the acid we are taking, we are getting the salt also. Suppose we are taking hydrochloric acid. The salt formed will be chlorides. And if we are taking sulfuric acid, H2SO4, the salt formed will be sulfates. And if we are taking HNO3, the salt formed will be nitrates. So when metal and an acid reacting together, here also the byproduct, the gas formed is hydrogen, and the salt formed will be on the basis of the acid we are taking. If we are taking hydrochloric acid, the salt formed will be the chloride salt, and if you are taking sulfuric acid, the salt formed will be the sulfate salt, and if you are taking nitric acid, the salt formed will be the nitrate salt. In almost all the reactions, hydrogen gas is producing, and here also one exceptional case is that when metals are reacting with this nitric acid, generally hydrogen gas is not evolving. That is also another question for the examination. Why do metals do not produce hydrogen gas when it is reacting with the nitric acid? That is another question that is also normally comes for the exam. So nitric acid itself is a strong oxidizing agent. So when this nitric acid reacts with metal, the hydrogen gas formed will be getting oxidized by this nitric acid into water, and as a result there will not be any formation of hydrogen gas when metals are reacting with a nitric acid. That is also one of the important question. It has been repeated many times. Why do nitric acid do not produce any hydrogen gas? Metals, and there will be a statement like this: metals generally reacting with acids to form hydrogen gas, but nitric acid do not form hydrogen gas. Give reason. So metals generally reacting with dilute acid to form corresponding salt and hydrogen gas. In the case of nitric acid, so this nitric acid itself is a strong oxidizing agent. As a result, the hydrogen produced will be getting oxidized, and that is why there will not be any production of hydrogen gas during the formation of metals, during the formation of salt formation, during the formation of metals when reacting with a dilute nitric acid or with a nitric acid. So these are the some of the general properties, and the next property already you have studied. I have already discussed in the first chapter, that is displacement reaction. When a metal is reacting with a metallic solution, if the highly reactive metal can displace the less reactive metal from its metallic solution. That is the next chemical property. So I have already given a very nice statement. King Nathan's cat married a zebra from Poland. He is cute, arrogant, and awesome. That statement you have to study for the reactivity of the metal. I told you very clearly in the first session, and that is the last chemical property of the metals. So we will meet after a short break.